welcome to another video. This one's going to be really important with a lot of the current executive orders that are being signed, and one that scares me and should scare you, especially if you are a graduate of the public school system and the current state of things right now. We have to address a significant development in the U.S. education policy with Trump's forthcoming executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, the executive order instructs Education Secretary Linda McMahon, who is the wife of Vince McMahon, to initiate the closure of the Department of Education, transferring education authority back to individual states. Now, Linda McMahon was an executive at the WWE company, which is riddled with a bunch of other issues himself: sexual assault, violence, drug use, anything along those lines. So clearly, somebody chosen by Trump who understood that this was not going to be around for long and her job was essentially going to be useless. And I believe in her first attempt at running for this role, it was given to Betsy DeVos, but Linda McMahon was trying to get a position in the first Trump administration. Anyway, for some historical context, the Department of Ed was established in 1979, and it's been a target for conservatives who argue that states should control education, which is a complete farce. They want to privatize schools, indoctrinate children with Christian fundamentals, which is the reason why they want to dismantle this, one of the last few remaining things that separates church and state. Now, on a federal funding level, the department oversees $1.6 trillion in student loans and provides essential funding for various educational programs. So there's no plan, an alternative to handle this, and the states will not have any capacity to be able to handle this. A lot of the states' educational systems are broken. Majority of the red states that voted for Trump to initiate this will suffer the most. They are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to education. Republicans do not care about education. What they care about is a dumb base who will not question and use critical thinking skills to poke holes in their plans and what they're doing. And this is why MAGA is the way it is. This is why they vote the way that they do. They're blind to what's happening in front of them, and why they are so fundamentally stupid and unable to understand the error of their ways. Now, educational inequality was one of the reasons why this was such a big issue. Now, people like to argue that eliminating the department could exacerbate those disparities with funding from certain schools, low-income schools. It could widen that gap and make it harder for students to get the resources they need to get to where they need to be. And essentially, poor parents who cannot support, the schools, the privatized schools that they want to institute. So it creates a whole bunch of issues, but the Republican Party has no desire of equality for anything. They want a working class. They want people that will be workers for the rest of their life and not question anything, while they, go to these prestigious universities and work these white-collar jobs in order to extract the labor from these individuals and become wealthy themselves. Now, several Republican governors, including Greg Abbott of Texas, who is a piece of shit, a pathetic piece of shit, Mike Braun of Indiana, Ron DeSantis of Florida, and Mike DeWine of Ohio are expected to attend the signing. So clearly, these Republican states with some of the lowest intelligent population there, very dumb populace that continues to vote without their own interests. You can see it's paid off with these, Republican strongholds and these morons that continue to run the state into the ground. As for the opposition, public school advocates are working with lawmakers to express concern that they need to figure out a reason for this. We cannot profitize school. When you start doing that and you make college now at the elementary level, it's ridiculous. We see the way that college is going, which Republicans also don't like. Anything with higher education or education in general, they're not big fans of. And so some of the legal considerations: the executive order initiates the process, which will fully dismantle it, but it still requires congressional approval. So the majority of the Congress that would decide on this would be the Republicans, and they've shown no resistance in any way whatsoever to Trump. They do whatever he says. Like I said, they are fleshlights. They get paid and they get bent over and used in any way they're supposed to be used. And even as our constituencies are complaining in different town halls, no change is coming because Republicans are cowards. Their populists are full of idiots and morons who can't think for themselves and need to be told what to think. And their representatives are running away from them. So we're in a situation now where we have to rely on these individuals in order to resolve this issue. And Democrats are too weak. They refuse to take any stand. They've already passed the budget because of Chuck Schumer. So now we're at an impasse where there's really nothing to stop, the Trump campaign and train, except the judges who now they're attempting to fight. So I don't know how this is going to go completely, but what we need to do is we need to organize and we need to call this out and make sure it's public so that everybody can see. A big component about this dismantling is actually federal funding and student aid and who will be affected. So one of the biggest questions is what happens to the student loans that are outstanding. We know Biden forgave almost $300 billion in student loan debt and was working on others and continually bombarded by Republicans to prevent that from happening. Evil people who don't want anybody else to prosper in this country. They want people to continue to pay loans, to pay money and interest to their donors because, again, these people are puppets. Emphasis on the fisting of the puppet to control them. So the Department of Education, again, once I said before, oversees $1.6 trillion in student loans. So if that goes down, who's going to manage that? Are they going to be written off? Probably not, because Republicans are evil and they want to make sure you pay things even when you don't have to. There's no plans for a transition, and students won't know what to do. And the people that have been paying, Lord knows what's going to happen there. So they also provide billions of dollars annually to public schools through such programs as Title I for low-income schools and special education funding under IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And without these funds, these schools can't simply function. They can't have teachers. They can't have the resources they need. This could also skyrocket the cost of college. If they're giving out federal aid to students who may not qualify. I think I just saw Harvard is now allowing students who make under, or households who make under $200K to come in for free, but you still have to be incredibly intelligent to get into Harvard. So without those resources, that's going to make that more difficult. Federal oversight ensures that colleges receiving financial aid meets certain accreditation standards. Notoriously, Trump University was a scam, just like its person it's named after. Everything this man does is a scam, and that's no different, where he took money from all these people, gave them a useless degree, and they had to pay money for that. They had to, I'm not sure if it was a class action, but they had to pay damages to all those people. So, a lot of different issues here, but it makes sense because this man is a mess. Everything he does is a danger, and we need to figure out exactly what needs to be done in order to prevent that from happening. Now, some impact on educational equity and civil rights protections. A function of the Department of Ed was to help equalize that access, and we know it's not perfect. We know the Department of Ed, on a lot of levels, was failing, and it's mainly a result of the people inside of it. Again, if you take away oversight from these entities, and they function off of bureaucracy and people doing favors for favors, this is what you get. But it's intentional because someone like this moron here can come in and say they are not seeing them working and they're going to dismantle the whole thing. It's what they're trying to do with USPS and what they've been trying to do with USPS. So lots of different protections are at risk. Lots of different people will be at risk if this is signed away because we don't know what will become of it after the fact. And if it's left up to the states, look at the people that are leading these Republican states. These are not the people who care about the education of poor people or those less fortunate than themselves. So, once again, our supporters of the executive order are all conservative leaders because they, like I said before, their heads are full of Jesus. They love worshiping the image of a man that is not the image that they think he is. They love to be told what to think and don't question anything because they like to fall in line. Meanwhile, they're the most pathetic human beings on this earth. They have no functioning brain, and I'm surprised they've survived this long. They are disgrace to call them my fellow humans, and every day they're reminding us how pathetic they are. So obviously the Department of Education establishes standards. I don't know if you've ever heard of the College Board. They're another organization that provides college credits through college level classes in high school to students and accelerated programs to be able to get credit in college. So the Department of Ed decides, your standardized testing, what needs to be met, which is a baseline way to make sure that people are on track. So if you eliminate that, what happens to that? If you're leaving it up to the state, it can definitely be manipulated by evil actors, Republicans, who will utilize that to perhaps move funding to different schools, open up different schools, allocate government money to these parochial schools, separation of church and state. I don't want any dollar being given to anybody of any religious background. Okay, in a political space, if you are religious, you keep your shit out of politics. You keep it at home and with your community. The moment you start marching into politics with your beliefs that infringe upon my rights and anyone else's, we've got a problem. And that's what Christians love to do. It's a disgrace, and it's disgusting what it's done to the Republican Party, because they claim to be God-fearing, worshiping people, but we all know what it's about. They're the greediest, most evil people you ever find in your life. So what can you do? Honestly, we just have to get the word out here that this is happening. If you follow any podcasts, if you're on social media, start, getting the word out. I'm going to provide kind of like a little transcript and breakdown of what I'm talking about here. Send them this video, let them know what you can do. But bombard your representatives. Make these Democrats earn every bit of money that they earn through our taxpayer dollars. Remember, they're public servants. The president, this idiot right here, this orange man, is a public servant. He does what we tell him to do. Okay? He's an elected official, and we have complete control over everything that he does and everybody else in Congress does. And they're rogue now. We need to reel them in, and we need to teach them a lesson about what happens. We need to vote them out and remove them. So bombard your representatives. Give them every word that you want to say to them. Do not hold back. Keep calling. Let these people know that if you fuck around, you're going to find out. Now, next point, stay informed, follow updates. Again, there's more educated people than me out there. I'm just getting in here because I'm a layman. I feel like I can really, break this down for people on a basic level here and get the word out. But follow your other content creators and everybody else and hold them accountable for their ideas. If they're not preaching this stuff out here and they're doing what Fox News does, which is pick up any other story to muddy the water and do all this stuff, call them out on it. We need to get the community together. Unfortunately, the people that are doing it right now are these idiot Republicans who we're in this shithole because of them. These idiots voted for this moron for a second time after we already saw what happened the first time, and now they're regretting it because it's affecting them. They're greedy, soulless people, and these are the things that they've, dug themselves into, and they only want change because it's affecting them. And they don't care about you or I or anyone else. They're selfish, evil people. The religious people are the most evil people. Remember that. Now for students, if you're a teacher, parent, you gotta let everyone know. There's so many students in this country, and a lot of them are young. Let them know those are the people that provide the activism that changes the course of nations, and that's exactly what needs to happen. The future of education in America is at a turning point. Whether you support or oppose this executive order, you need to understand the impacts that it's having. So if you're a Republican and you voted for Trump and you can't seem to comprehend this, that your kids, your neighbor's kids, your family's kids may have issues going forward with getting what they need. Some kids rely on school for all their meals, for daycare. You are condemning these people to God knows what because you're a selfish son of a bitch. And you need to be called out on that each and every time. You need to be reminded about the decision that you made. We told you exactly what was going to happen. We warned you, and you still voted that way. So you're an idiot. You're like a undisciplined dog. You need to be corrected multiple times until it gets into your fucking head. And that's all I have to say today. But this is dangerous. This president right here, this affects hundreds of millions of people. So get off your ass. Start paying attention to what's happening, because this moron here wants to take away everything that you're entitled to as an American.